Now I'm Billy Kilkenny and I'm joined on the line with Jason Osborn, marketing consultant who specialises in helping businesses generate high quality LinkedIn leads. Jason's also broadcasts his own podcast called Host of the Atomic Impact, where he interviews other business owners and leaders from all walks of life. Jason, you are very welcome to Good Morning Dublin.
Hey, Billy, it's absolutely my pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Not at all, not at all. So, Jason, you specialise in the do's and don'ts of LinkedIn. It is classified as a social media platform. However, you say businesses and people do not utilise or use LinkedIn properly. What are business and people doing wrong on LinkedIn from your perspective?
So how long do we have? There's quite a few things. Really, the first thing is a lot of people still look at LinkedIn as a CV platform, a CV website. And of course, if you're looking for a job, it is great for that. But in terms of businesses wanting to utilize it to generate really good, high quality leads, you have to move away from the CV mindset, where a CV is all about you, how good you are. And let's be honest, most of us lie on our CVs anyway. So it's about moving towards your prospect, having it geared towards your prospect and looking to add value towards that. A lot of businesses go in and use LinkedIn, and they think of using LinkedIn like Facebook or Instagram, because that's what most people are familiar with in terms of like social media marketing and social media content and stuff like that. LinkedIn, as you said, yes, it's a social media platform from a lot of aspects, but really when we look at it, it is a networking platform for professionals. So putting up images and pictures of what you ate last night or images of your holiday and all that sort of stuff, that's not what people are looking for. So that's one thing, is gearing it towards the actual like business networking aspect of it, geared towards your prospect, your ideal client, and how you can best help them. So that's the first key thing around that.
Yeah, so it is separate from their other social media, Facebook, Instagram. LinkedIn should be slightly professional, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's not so professional where it's just you're in a box and can't move, shirt and tie and all that kind of stuff. But it is. You need to frame things in a way on how your prospect is going to find value from not only what you're posting, but how you're connecting with them, how you're messaging them, and things like that.
And with that in mind, what advice do you have for startup businesses using LinkedIn?
So startup businesses, the key thing around this is how you differentiate yourself from your competitors. A lot of people put themselves in what I call a commodity-based market. So a personal trainer would be a really good example of this. We all know where a personal trainer is. They're at gyms. You go to the gym, you talk to the personal trainer, you ask how much they charge, right? And they compete on price. Where if you go in and position yourself as a specialist, it allows you to be able to tap in to specific pain points for your ideal market. So a personal trainer could reposition themselves on LinkedIn where they might say, I help C-level executives get triathlon fit within 6 months. Well, now you're working with C-level executives, which means they're probably have the money to pay more than just your going rate of a personal trainer. Plus, because of the time constraints that a lot of C-level executives have, they are going to be willing to pay someone that's going to be able to work with them based on what their needs to be able to get them fit for triathlons, which a lot of C-level executives do triathlons and marathons and stuff like that. So all of a sudden now you're dealing with a very different type of clientele and things like that. So it's about how you come out of the commodity-based market where you're competing on price and how you get into a specialist-based market so that price isn't so much the issue. It's how you help them alleviate or get rid of the pain point or challenges that they're currently dealing with.
And targeting the right people to network with.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's a lot of really good features on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a tool called Sales Navigator. It does cost, but if you're using LinkedIn properly and doing it right, Sales Navigator allows you to have quite a lot of filters to be able to find your ideal prospects.
Right. Well, with that in mind, what advice or what should businesses or people look out for when building their LinkedIn presence?
So, one, make sure that your profile is very much geared towards your prospect, just like I was saying earlier. You need to make sure that when a prospect comes to your profile, the prospect feels like you understand them, not that you're trying to sell to them, or that they're just opening up a brochure that they can pick off, the countertop at any type of, you know, outlet or anything like that. So very much geared towards that. And then how you're connecting and communicating with them. When you're creating posts, a lot of people think that's how you generate leads. It's a very passive way to do it. I like a more proactive approach, not aggressive or spammy. It's what I teach against, but you want a proactive approach where how you're reaching out and connecting with your ideal prospects is value based, but you're being proactive with that to move them into a lead, onto a phone call, so you can better understand what their actual true needs are to see if you can actually help them or not.
And LinkedIn has become really popular over the last year.
Massively popular. Yeah, obviously with all of the lockdown, every country is a little bit different around the world, but people have turned to LinkedIn to be able to find a network and chat with people and prospect and all that sort of stuff. So there's been a massive increase depending on which kind of number reports you look at. I've seen up to as high as a 23%. 2,300% increase in traffic on LinkedIn. But with that means there's a lot of people that are using LinkedIn spammy because they don't know how to use it. So it's great. There's been a lot more people utilizing it, but it also means a lot more people are getting spam messages, which is why you need to learn how to use it properly.
Excellent. That's great advice. Your LinkedIn page has a very interesting tagline on the top of the page that says, "From plane crash survivor to impacting companies around the world." Now, I know from a marketing standpoint that is a very catchy and intriguing tagline. However, the real story behind that has had a huge impact on your life. Do you mind sharing a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Of course. So, I survived a plane crash. It was 19 years ago, so January 17th. And I was living in Texas, which you can probably tell I'm not from the UK or Ireland. Although I did live in the west of Ireland in Athenry. So shout out to all my west of Ireland folks. But
You know what rain is.
I know what rain is. Absolutely, definitely, all the time. But so I was living in Houston. I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I was on a private plane, a twin engine prop Cessna. And we were flying from Houston to a little town in Texas called Killeen. And I was with a youth organization, and we were looking at creating like a youth facility for people, for teenagers to be able to come in and play basketball and video games, and just a nice place for people to come in and be able to chat with teens and all that kind of stuff. And so we found a place in Killeen that had built a similar type of facility. So we were going to check it out. And yes, we were in the plane. It was supposed to be about an hour flight, and we just gone over an hour. And the official ruling was there was a mismanagement of fuel, which I don't know if I agree with, but that was the official ruling of it. And there was 5 of us on board. It was really tiny. It was 3 of us in kind of the passenger seats. And then the pilot, who I knew had known for a very long time. And then one of the guys was sitting in the co-pilot seat. And we ended up crash landing. Both the engines died of fuel starvation, and the pilot couldn't get him started back up. And he went to crash land into a housing development, not into a house, even though we did end up crashing into a house, but he was going in. Pilots are taught to flying between two trees to take the wings off, which is where the fuel is stored. But the plane was actually built a year before those regulations came in. So we actually hit the tree. It torqued the plane 90 degrees, crashed into the house, ripped the whole right side of the plane off. And I blacked out and then woke up and didn't quite know where I was and all that kind of stuff. But I ended up walking out of the plane, which if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you'll see a picture of me coming out of the plane. Me and one other guy survived, and unfortunately, the other three passed away in that crash that day. So.
Wow, that's harrowing, absolutely harrowing. And there was a moment in the journey that you looked down, didn't you? You think that might have saved your life. You were looking at a certain direction on the plane, is that right?
Yeah. So when we were coming down, obviously I knew we were flying over a housing estate, and something hit the bottom of the plane. It ended up we went over the top of some telephone, like electrical, I think it was telephone wires. And that's what hit the plane, the bottom of the plane. And I don't know why, but I leaned over to my right and looked down through, trying to look through the bottom of the plane, which obviously you couldn't see through. I was trying to figure out what that noise was, because that's not a normal noise you hear, something hitting the bottom of a plane. And I think that's probably what ended up saving my life. It may not have been the only thing, but if I had been sitting up, like I said, the whole right side of the plane got ripped off, which is the side that I was sitting on. And when we looked at the plane a couple months afterwards, my seatbelt looked like someone had literally taken a pair of scissors, and it was a straight cut down my seatbelt. And if I'd been sitting up, it would have actually sliced into my body, as opposed to just getting the seatbelt. And the way that I had my arm position, it sliced my arm down to the bone. So if I was leaning more towards the plane as opposed to the center of the plane by looking down, it could have probably would have done some either massive damage, or even a kind of a death below.
Sure, absolutely. And it's an incredible story. And the reason why we bring it up really is first of all, like, my sincere condolences to those who didn't survive. Do you find that sharing your life experience is part and parcel of business and moving forward? Is because you have that tagline on your LinkedIn, it gives you the sense of this person obviously has been on some journey.
Yeah, it's definitely an extreme example, and obviously people don't have to be through a plane crash. I don't
extreme
recommend
as
it.
you get. It's extreme as you get. Yeah.
It is about as extreme as you can get.
I'm not a great flyer, so I'm just even sweating thinking about it. So unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a but the thing about it is this. Well, I like what you just said, Billy. It's about being real, and a lot of times I think businesses lose that real element of it, because even though, and kind of going back to LinkedIn, like, everything that you have to do is through a personal profile, not a company page on LinkedIn. You can't really do much with a company page on LinkedIn. But telling that story, being real, and letting people really see who you are, and letting them know you're a real person, that you're there to help, you're there to add value, you're there to help them solve a problem. That's what people want more and more and more. And as we continue to journey into whatever social media might look like in the future, but even where it is now, people can find you out really quickly. It's harder to be a scam artist and someone that is quite shady in the way that you do your dealings, because you'll get found out. People will post it all over the place. So instead of trying to be this facade of corporate, even if you're a solopreneur, just being real with people and allowing people to connect with you is what a lot of people want now. And some people are going to connect with you, and those are the people you want to work with, and others won't. I'm from America, and I'm sure there's people that just don't like working with me because my American accent, and then other people have said, I love your American accent. That's why I contacted you. I never knew my accent would be such a decisive factor in doing business with me. but I can't help those things. So I just be real, be myself, and that's what I
Yeah.
recommend to other people as well.
I think it's brilliant advice. I mean, for people who are listening and they want to grow their online presence, it's something that's not taught enough, actually. That yes, you're selling your professional expertise, whatever it is, and that's number one. However, sharing your story creates trust for the buyer, and people buy from people at the end of the day. So it is an aspect of business that can really help develop your brand as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The more real you are, and it's a lot of work that I do with my clients right at the very front end, because if you don't get that element first on how you're positioning what you do and kind of the voice of your business and the way you communicate with people, you lose out on a lot of business that way because you just blend in with everyone else that does the same thing as you.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, Jason, I just want to thank you for joining us this morning. If you have been inspired by Jason or have any questions, you can contact him via his LinkedIn page, Jason Osborn. And also his podcast, Host of the Atomic Impact, is available on all platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. And people are more than welcome to go to the website as well. So impactforleads.com. And they can actually get access to a free LinkedIn course I have if they want to do that as well. So
Excellent, Jason. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you again soon, hopefully.
cheers. Thanks, Billy.